So, question number 21. An airplane leaves New York City and heads towards Los Angeles. As it climbs, the plane gradually increases its speed until it reaches a cruising altitude, at which time it maintains a constant speed for several hours as long as it stays at cruising altitude. After flying for 32 minutes, the plane reaches cruising altitude and has flown 192 miles. After flying for a total of 92 minutes, the plane has flown a total of 762 miles. So if we think about our equation, right, the first thing they want us to do is determine the speed of the plane at cruising altitude in miles per minute. So we do have data to find points for our line. So the first point on our line at 32 minutes, the plane's flown 192 miles. At 92 minutes, the plane has flown 762 miles. So to calculate slope, remember the slope formula just for the slope, m equals the change in y, y2 minus y1, over the change in x, x2 minus x1. So all we have to do is substitute those values into our equation. 762 minus 192, the change in y, over 92 minus 32, the change in x, gives us 19 over 2. Since they ask for miles per minute, we want to simplify that fraction as a decimal and say 9.5. And all we did was put 19 over 2 in our calculator to get 9.5 miles per minute. Now, for the next step in our question, it says write an equation to represent the number of miles the plane has flown during X minutes at cruising altitude only. So all they're doing is saying take that slope and multiply it by x to get your number of hours. So usually we have y equals mx plus b, but since they want cruising altitude only, they just want y equals mx. And we already determined that the slope of our line is 9.5. So this is a 4-point question. They added this caveat just to get us one of those 4 points. So that worked out pretty well. So we're not quite done yet. We still have to finish this out. This is a daunting problem, but we can get to the end. Assuming the plane maintains its speed at cruising altitude, determine the total number of miles the plane has flown 2 hours into flight. So if we analyze the flight from the beginning, 2 hours is 120 minutes. We have to subtract that first 32 minutes because they weren't going at the same speed at that time. So we actually have x equals 88. So now we're going to take that 88 and put it into y equals 9.5x. So we have 9.5 times 88. And our result is 836 miles. So in those 88 minutes, the plane traveled 836 miles. And we already know how far it traveled in the first 32 minutes. So we take that 192 from the beginning of the problem and we bring it back in. We add that to our 836 to get 1028. And we're measuring for miles in 2 hours. So the final answer to the last part of this question is the plane traveled 1,028 miles in its first 2 hours of flight. And that's the answer to question 21.